Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Vegas Golden Knights. As for the second time in 6 seasons, they are going to the Stanley Cup Final. Guys, make sure to check out my Stanley Cup Final preview. That link will be at the end of the video. Make sure to check that out because we may or may not have the Vegas Golden Knights making it to the Lord Stanley path, winning the Stanley Cup. So make sure to check that out. But before we get into that, I think for the Vegas Golden Knights right now, this is a team right now that is very dangerous. And going into the Stanley Cup Final, this is a team that has had to go through some tough competition. Yeah, the first round they played Winnipeg. They beat them in 5 games. They beat the Edmonton Oilers in 6, which was probably the most impressive feat. And then they beat the Dallas Stars in 6 games in the Western Conference Final. And I think the most impressive thing about their series against Dallas was the way they kind of beat up on Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger is a very good goalie, and they kind of just passed him off. They just scored a ton of goals against him. They win 6-0 in Game 6, an elimination game in Dallas. Jake Ottinger and the Stars come up blank. 6-0 win for the Golden Knights. So there is a lot of optimism right now in Vegas, and rightfully so. And as I talked about my playoff preview, my Cup Final preview, you look at this team, it's not just Jack Eichel. Obviously, everybody's talking about the man of the hour, which is Jack Eichel, his first playoff appearance in 7 seasons in the NHL, and he's playing with the Golden Knights. A huge acquisition for the Golden Knights, and it's paying off dearly. He has 18 points right now, leading the way for the Knights. Marchessault is also playing really well. That addition at the deadline that I mentioned weeks before he ended up going to Vegas, that's why you got to follow us around the trade deadline, because I do know what I'm talking about just a little bit. Ivan Barbashev has been so good for them. He is 3rd on the team in points, tied with Mark Stone, who has also been obviously a huge contributor to this team. You have 2 guys that really stand out to me throughout the playoffs so far. 6 game-winning goals combined between the 2 of them. Chandler Stevenson and Jonathan Marchessault, some of the original misfits in Vegas. These guys have been so good for them. Now, maybe Chandler Stevenson isn't considered one of the original misfits, but he's getting to the point where he is in that category, right? Washington didn't want him, and he kind of got shipped off, and they needed a center. It's like, oh, great. And he's turned into, he ended up going to the All-Star game for Vegas this year. He's really come into his own and is really developed into a pure goal scorer, which is just insane. I remember him with the Hershey Bears. Really excited for Chandler Stevenson. He's got 3 game-winning goals so far this playoffs, and so does Jonathan Marchessault, who I know for a fact is an original misfit. And what's interesting about Marchessault, we all know the story with Marchessault, right? Marchessault was with the Florida Panthers, was with the Tampa Bay Lightning, so he would be going up against a former foe and potentially lifting the Stanley Cup in a place he used to call home in Florida. So that would be kind of interesting. And what's also interesting about this team is, they've gone through their fair share of adversity. You look through the playoffs, Laurent Brossoit and Adin Hill has been their tandem. Brossoit got hurt in the Edmonton Oilers series, and there was a lot of concern at that point that, things might go off the rails for Vegas. Not the case. Adin Hill has come in and been incredible. He's got a .937 save percentage. He's played in 11 games so far for the playoffs. 7 wins in that stretch and a 2.07 goals against average. He's got 2 shutouts already in the playoffs. This is a guy that has really found a way to just make the most of his moment and is a just perfect Golden Knights goalie, right? Just a big guy that, he's not the most flexible or the best goaltender in the league. He's got that big frame, and the defense in front of him makes it really effortless. And I want to give credit to that defense, because as much as we want to give credit here to Adin Hill, you have to start with the credit to the defense as well. And I mentioned this in my, the preview, is you look at how big that defense is, right? Nick Hague, 6'6", 224 pounds. Alex Pietrangelo, 6'2", Alec Martinez, all those guys are 6 foot and above and just freaks of humans. And with a defense that's basically the Titan defense, that's going to be a tough task for the Florida Panthers, something they haven't really seen yet. So, when I look at this team, there's just so much to look at and say, man, this team is legit. And I think the onset for the Florida Panthers is they believe they can beat anybody. So they're not going to be fazed by how deep and how good the Vegas Golden Knights are as a team. So I think it's going to be important for the Golden Knights to get off the ground running. Both these teams have had a lot of success early in the series, the last 2 series in particular, but Going all the way back to the first round, Vegas kind of packs their punches in early and just that's it. Like, you might get an extra game here. They show a slight bit of mercy, giving some of these teams a little bit of leeway back to think they could come back. And that's kind of the way the Golden Knights have been. Excuse me. Really talented team. I'm really excited to see what happens here. This is a team that, with the disastrous end to the season last year, missing the playoffs, right? For the first time in franchise history, missing the playoffs, to now their fourth Western Conference Final appearance in 6 seasons, mind you, since 2018, and also now their second Stanley Cup Final appearance. So this is an incredible season for the Golden Knights. I hope they win a Stanley Cup. I really think that the city of Vegas is just... You want to win a championship, and if you're looking to get more sports in that city, imagine the Cup Parade down the Strip in Las Vegas. How sick that would be. I'm all in for it. And honestly, I think the Florida Panthers are a great team. I'm excited to see what they do here. But man, Golden Knights, man, I think this is their year. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think the Golden Knights have what it takes? Or do you think the Florida Panthers will finally knock them off here in the Stanley Cup Final? Guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.